What's going on, guys? My name is Matthew and welcome to my YouTube channel. Guys, Premiere Pro's update is here and there are a lot of changes. In this video, we're going to go over how to blur your faces using the new masking tools that Premiere Pro has to offer. Let's dive in. Alright guys, so here we are in Adobe Premiere Pro, and what we're going to do in this tutorial is blur a face in this piece of footage. So over here I've got this footage where, it's just a few people in a yoga studio, nothing too crazy. And what we're going to do is we're going to blur the face of this woman right here. Now, how do we do that? Well, we're going to go over, click on the piece of footage here. Let's go over here to the new masking tool that Premiere Pro has. And the first thing we're going to look at is the pen mask tool. Now, what we'll do is we'll go over here and we're going to click all around the face, kind of like this. And again, it doesn't have to be, perfect, but, so long as you get the face kind of like that. And so what we'll do now is we're going to go up here and track the mask so that it encompasses all of the footage. So we'll click this and it'll take a few seconds to track the mask. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take this mask that was just created, click, hold, and drag down to opacity. And now you can see just the selected mask. What we'll then do is go over to Effects, and I already have the Gaussian blur typed out up here, but if you don't have that already typed out, you can go ahead and type that. And what we're going to do is we're going to click and drag to the footage. Now you can see that it's blurred. Now I'm just going to make some kind of fine-tune adjustments, so I'll just increase the feather. I'll call it 20 or so. I'll also expand it just a touch. And that will be a good kind of rough start to the blur that was applied. So after we do this, the next thing we'll do is we're going to go over here to our sequence, click on the piece of footage, press and hold on the Option key, and then click and drag below just like that. Now we'll take our bottom layer, and in the bottom layer, we'll take the mask and put it back up to unassigned masks. We'll also toggle off the Gaussian blur. We'll click over here, just kind of removing the selection, and you'll now see the blur applied on top of the footage. So for context, on this layer, we have our Gaussian blur applied. And on the bottom layer, we just toggled off the blur and just moved the mask up to unassigned masks so that as to basically kind of render the mask incomplete, for lack of a better term. So now that we see our mask in this fashion, we can go over to our top layer and we can make some adjustments. So maybe we want to increase the feathers so there's not as much of a defined shape. And maybe we want to expand it so that it covers a little bit more of the face. And now when we play it back, you can see there's a nice little blurred face effect right there. Not bad. Now what I'll do is I'll just delete this bottom layer, and then I will delete the mask as well. And I'll just toggle off the blur for now. And what I'll do now is I'll go back down here to our masking tools, and I'll select the ellipse mask tool. Go over here to your footage, click and drag so as to make the ellipse kind of cover the face. And over here, you can make some fine-tune adjustments just to widen it a little bit to cover a little bit more of the face. We'll then take our mask, bring it back down to opacity so that we just see the face again. And I will toggle back on the Gaussian blur that we created before. Now, if you were starting from scratch and you went ahead and used the ellipse tool, you can go ahead and type in your blur and then drag it onto your footage so that it will look something like this. We'll go ahead and also track the mask one more time and wait for that to complete. And now once again, I'll just bring this back to the beginning. We will press and hold our Option key and click and drag to duplicate the footage. And down here, once again, we'll turn off the blur tool and we'll take our mask and put it back into unassigned masks. Just like that. And now when we click away from the footage, once again, we see our masked blur on the top footage. And we'll increase the feather just to create a less defined shape, and maybe bring up the expansion just to cover a little bit more. And then when I click and drag through, once again, a nice blurred face. And those are the two ways you can blur your face using Premiere Pro's new masking tools. And look, I'm sure if you've recently downloaded the new update for Premiere, I'm sure it's an adjustment. I'm sure you remember that the masking tools used to be available right up over here under opacity, but you know, the only constant in our field is change, and you always have to adapt. And hopefully this tutorial helped you to adapt a little bit better. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this tutorial, please give this video a like, subscribe to my channel for more content just like this, and hit the bell to get notified every time I release a new video. And feel free to follow me on social media. You can follow me on Instagram and TikTok. I frequently post short videos, short kind of clips of these longer tutorials. So feel free to check me out there, give me a follow there. Thanks so much you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.